I never imagined that my dream beach house in the Hamptons, bought from 15 years of saving every bonus and commission check, would become the centerpiece of my family's ultimate betrayal. But here I am, standing on my oceanfront deck at sunset, holding an envelope containing my entire family's vacation itinerary. A luxury trip they planned without me, yet somehow expected to use my house as their personal resort. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from. And if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special for you. The late June breeze carried the salt air across my deck as I reviewed another set of quarterly reports. As a senior investment banker at Goldman Sachs, working from my beach house had become my favorite escape from Manhattan's relentless pace. Every piece of this house represented a milestone in my career, from the panoramic windows overlooking the Atlantic that I bought with my first major deals commission, to the gourmet kitchen funded by years of careful investment. My phone buzzed, with a message from my younger sister Jennifer. "Hey, Olivia, just wanted to confirm, the house will be ready for everyone on July 15th, right? Mom's so excited about having the whole family together." I stared at the message, confusion clouding my mind. I hadn't made any plans with my family for July. In fact, I'd been looking forward to hosting my close friend Claire's bachelorette weekend that month. Before I could respond, another message appeared, this one from my brother Michael. "Liv, did you get the gift basket we sent? Consider it a thank you for letting us use the beach house for the family vacation. The kids can't wait to see their favorite aunt." My heart began racing as I pieced together what was happening. Walking inside, I noticed a large package on my kitchen counter that had been delivered earlier. Inside was an elaborate gift basket, filled with wines, cheeses, and a cream-colored envelope addressed to the Anderson family. With trembling hands, I opened the envelope. Inside was a meticulously planned itinerary for a 2-week luxury family vacation, complete with dinner reservations at exclusive restaurants, chartered fishing trips, and spa appointments. My name wasn't mentioned once in the entire schedule. The pieces fell into place like a cruel puzzle. My family had planned an extravagant vacation, excluding me from the planning and activities, yet fully expected to use my $2 million beach house as their accommodation. The presumption was staggering. Memories flooded back of similar patterns throughout my life. Being the oldest daughter, I'd always been expected to be the responsible one, the provider. When Michael needed money for his startup, I'd given it without hesitation. When Jennifer went through her divorce, I'd covered her legal fees. My parents had always treated my success as a family resource, something to be used for the benefit of all, except me. My phone rang, displaying my mother's picture. Taking a deep breath, I answered. "Olivia, darling, did you get our surprise? We wanted to thank you properly for hosting us. Your father has already arranged for the boat charter, and Jennifer's kids are so excited about having the upstairs bedroom with the ocean view." The casual entitlement in her voice made my chest tight. "Mom," I interrupted, "this is the first I'm hearing about any family vacation at my house." A pause. "Well, of course we're having it at your house, sweetheart. You're always saying we should spend more time together as a family. And you're so busy with work, we didn't want to burden you with the planning. We know how important your career is to you." The condescension in her tone was familiar. The implication that my dedication to my career somehow made me less family-oriented, less worthy of inclusion. It was the same tone she'd used when I missed Jennifer's baby shower because I was closing a major deal in Tokyo, or when I couldn't attend Michael's son's Little League games because I was building the career that bought this very house. "So, you planned a family vacation? Excluded me from all the activities but expected to use my house." I kept my voice steady, years of boardroom negotiations serving me well. "Don't be dramatic, Olivia. Of course you're welcome to join us for dinner, when you're not working. We know how demanding your schedule is. We're just trying to make things easier for everyone." The patronizing reasonableness of her response made something snap inside me. Years of being taken for granted, of having my boundaries ignored, of being simultaneously relied upon and excluded, crystallized in that moment. "I'm afraid that won't work," I said, my voice cool and professional, the same tone I used when shutting down unfavorable deals. "The house isn't available in July. I have other plans." "What do you mean, other plans? We've already booked everything. Your father pulled strings for those restaurant reservations. Jennifer has already promised the kids. You can't just—" "Actually, I can. It's my house, Mom. My name on the deed, my mortgage payments, my choice. I won't be canceling my plans to accommodate a vacation I wasn't included in." The silence on the other end was deafening. When my mother spoke again, her voice had that wounded tone that had always made me back down in the past. "I can't believe you're being so selfish, after everything we've done for you." But this time, something was different. Perhaps it was the sunset painting my expensive windows gold, reminding me of every sacrifice and achievement that built this house. Perhaps it was the realization that everything they'd done for me had come with invisible strings I was only now seeing clearly. "I have a call I need to take," I said firmly. "I'll send you some recommendations for beachfront hotels in the area. Goodbye, Mom." As I ended the call, I felt something shift inside me, like the tide line changing, revealing new boundaries beneath the surface. My phone immediately began buzzing with messages from Jennifer and Michael, but for the first time in my life, I felt no obligation to respond immediately. Instead, I walked out onto my deck, breathing in the ocean air that was mine, all mine, paid for by the career my family so often criticized. The sun was setting over the water, and I realized I was smiling. This wasn't the end of the story, not by far. But as I stood there, watching the waves crash against the shore, I knew it was the beginning of something new. The discovery of my own worth, the setting of long overdue boundaries, and perhaps the redefinition of what family really means. The morning after my conversation with my mother, I arrived at Goldman Sachs' downtown office earlier than usual. The familiar rhythm of market updates and client calls provided a welcome distraction from the 37 unread messages from my family. As I reviewed potential acquisition deals, my executive assistant, Thomas, appeared at my door. "Ms. Anderson, your father is in the lobby. He doesn't have an appointment, but he's insisting on seeing you." I glanced at my watch, 9:15 a.m. My father, retired CEO of a mid-sized insurance company, had never visited my office in the 15 years I'd worked here. His sudden appearance confirmed what I'd suspected. The family wasn't going to accept my boundary setting gracefully. "Send him up, Thomas, and please reschedule my 10 a.m. call with Tokyo." Minutes later, my father strode into my office, looking distinctly out of place among the modern glass and steel. His golf polo and casual slacks contrasted sharply with the formal business attire around him, but it was the expression on his face that caught my attention, the same look he'd worn when negotiating difficult business deals during his career. "Quite a view you have here," he remarked, taking in the Manhattan skyline from my corner office. "Almost as nice as the one from your beach house." "What can I do for you, Dad?" I kept my tone professional, gesturing to one of the chairs facing my desk. He remained standing. "Your mother is very upset, Olivia. She spent weeks planning this vacation. Do you have any idea how many strings I had to pull for those restaurant reservations? I imagine the same number of strings you pulled to plan this vacation without including me in any of the activities." I met his gaze steadily. "Or did you think I wouldn't notice that?" He had the grace to look slightly uncomfortable. "You're always working, Olivia. We assumed you wouldn't be able to participate in most activities anyway. But that doesn't mean you can't let your family enjoy your house. That's what family does. We share." "Share?" I couldn't keep the edge from my voice. Like when Michael shared the startup investment I gave him with his gambling buddies instead of actually starting the company? Or when Jennifer shared the story of my broken engagement at her country club, making sure everyone knew how career-obsessed Olivia couldn't keep a man? That's ancient history. He waved dismissively. Michael's doing well now with his new business venture, and Jennifer was just processing her own divorce. You've always been the strong one, Olivia, the successful one. You don't need the emotional support they do. His words hit me like a physical blow. In my father's eyes, my success had somehow disqualified me from deserving consideration or inclusion. My achievements had become a justification for taking me for granted. You're right about one thing, Dad. I am strong. Strong enough to say no when my boundaries aren't being respected. He shifted strategies, his business instincts kicking in. Let's approach this logically. You have this beautiful house that sits empty most of the time. The family wants to spend quality time together. It's a perfect solution. We'll even pay for the utilities while we're there. Perfect for whom? I asked quietly. Perfect for the family that planned an entire vacation without consulting me? Perfect for the sister who's already promised her kids my master bedroom? Perfect for the brother who sent a gift basket as if my home could be booked with a fruit and cheese platter? You're being unnecessarily difficult about this, he said, his patience visibly wearing thin. What do you need? Want us to include you in a few more dinners? Fine, we can do that. Want us to pay rent? Name a reasonable price. But this stubborn refusal to accommodate your family. It's beneath you, Olivia. I stood up, drawing myself to my full height. What's beneath me, Dad, is continuing to accept being treated as nothing more than a convenient resource. My home isn't a hotel, my success isn't a family ATM, and my worth isn't measured by how much I give while expecting nothing in return. So that's it? You're going to let your mother's hard work go to waste? Let your nieces and nephews down? All because your feelings are hurt over some dinner reservations? No, I replied calmly. I'm going to honor my existing plans to host my friend's bachelorette weekend. I'm going to maintain the boundaries I've set, and I'm going to suggest that next time the family wants to plan a vacation, they start by actually including the whole family in the planning. My father's face hardened. Your mother was right. Success has changed you. The Olivia we raised would never have put her own selfish desires above her family's needs. The Olivia you raised, I said softly, spent years trying to earn love, through sacrifice and accommodation. But that Olivia grew up. She built a career, bought a house, and learned that real love doesn't come with conditions or costs. He turned to leave, pausing at the door. You'll regret this, Olivia. Family is all we have in the end. No, Dad. Family is what we choose to build, with respect, consideration, and mutual care. What you're describing sounds more like ownership. After he left, I sat in my quiet office, watching the city buzz below. My phone buzzed with a message from Claire. Still on for the bachelorette weekend? The girls can't wait. I smiled as I typed my response. Absolutely. My house, my rules, my true friends welcome. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. The next morning, my sister Jennifer's name flashed across my phone screen as I was reviewing quarterly projections. I had expected this call. Jennifer had always been my parents' diplomatic envoy during family conflicts. As the middle child, she'd perfected the art of mediation, though her version of peace usually involved everyone else accommodating her wishes. Olivia, you've put me in an impossible position, she began, without preamble. The kids are devastated. They've been talking about swimming in Aunt Olivia's infinity pool all week. Emma even drew a picture of all of us having a beach picnic together. I closed my laptop, focusing fully on the conversation. That's interesting, Jen, considering I wasn't included in any of the planned activities. How exactly was Emma picturing this family beach picnic without me there? A telling pause followed. Well, we assumed you'd join when you could. You know how it is with your schedule. Besides, you're always saying we should use the house more. Last Thanksgiving you mentioned it was a shame to have it empty so often. I meant we should plan things together, as a family, I clarified. Not that you should plan a vacation without me and expect to use my home as a free resort. Free? Jennifer's voice took on an injured tone. Dad said he offered to pay rent, and we sent that lovely gift basket. The issue isn't money, Jen. It's respect. It's consideration. It's being treated as part of the family, rather than the family's personal concierge. That's not fair, she protested. We always include you. Remember Christmas? We waited an extra hour to open presents because you were stuck on a client call. Yes, I remember Christmas. I also remember how you announced your pregnancy at my law school graduation dinner, and how you scheduled your wedding during my biggest merger deal, then guilt-tripped me for only attending the ceremony. That was years ago, and you know Jack's family had limited dates available for the venue. You're bringing up ancient history because you're angry about the vacation. Well, guess what? Your nieces and nephews are the ones who'll suffer. They're innocent in all this. The emotional manipulation was familiar, but this time it didn't land as intended. You're right about one thing. They are innocent, which is why using them as emotional leverage is particularly unfair. You're their mother, Jen. You chose to promise them something without confirming it first. That's not my responsibility to fix. So that's it? The mighty Olivia Anderson? Too important for her own family? Too successful to care about disappointing children? Actually, I said, my voice steady, I'm teaching them a valuable lesson about respect, boundaries, and not taking people for granted. Something our parents never taught us. Jennifer's voice turned cold. Well, your boundary setting just cost you your relationship with your nieces and nephews. I hope your principles keep you warm at night in that big empty house of yours. Warmer than the conditional love this family offers, I replied, ending the call before she could respond. I sat in silence for a moment, feeling the weight of her threat. I adored my nieces and nephews, despite their parents' attempts to weaponize my relationship with them. Opening my phone's gallery, I scrolled through photos from last summer. Teaching Emma to paddleboard, building sandcastles with little Jack, helping Maya collect seashells at sunset. A new email notification popped up, from my brother Michael. The subject line read, "You've changed." The email was brief. Remember when you used to be the sister we could count on? The aunt who never let us down? Success has made you selfish. Live. Mom's crying, Dad's upset, Jen's kids are heartbroken, and my wife has to completely reorganize our summer plans. All because you've become too important for family. I never thought I'd say this, but maybe Rachel was right to end your engagement. Last year, you've become exactly the cold, career-obsessed woman he accused you of being. My hands trembled slightly as I closed the email. Michael's words were carefully chosen to hurt, targeting my deepest insecurities about my failed engagement. Rachel had indeed cited my career focus when he ended our 3-year relationship, though he'd conveniently omitted his own affair with his yoga instructor when explaining our breakup to my family. I opened my calendar and began typing. Within minutes, I'd scheduled individual dates with each of my nieces and nephews, museum visits, baseball games, cooking lessons. Times when I could give them my full attention, create meaningful memories, and show them that boundaries and love aren't mutually exclusive. Next, I drafted an email to my entire family. I've given considerable thought to recent events and the responses they've generated. While I understand the disappointment regarding the vacation plans, I want to be clear. My home is not a resort, and I am not a resource to be used without consideration. My success, which this family alternately criticizes and attempts to exploit, was built through hard work, dedication, and self-respect, values I refuse to abandon. To my nieces and nephews, your aunt loves you unconditionally. You'll be receiving Individual invitations for special days together, where we can create memories that are about connection, not obligation, to everyone else. When you're ready to build a relationship based on mutual respect rather than expectation and entitlement, I'm here. Until then, I'll be focusing my energy on people who understand that love doesn't require the surrender of boundaries or self-worth. The beach house remains unavailable for the planned vacation dates. I've attached a list of excellent beachfront hotels in the area, all of which would be happy to accommodate your plans with proper booking and payment arrangements. Best regards, Olivia. As I pressed send, my office phone lit up. Thomas on the intercom. Ms. Anderson, the Tokyo investors are ready for your presentation. I straightened my jacket and gathered my materials. The morning's emotions had to be set aside. I had built this career through unwavering professionalism, and that wouldn't change now. But as I walked to the conference room, I felt lighter, stronger. Sometimes the hardest boundaries to set are the ones that should have been there all along. The following week, I immersed myself in work, focusing on a complex merger that required my complete attention. However, during a late-night review session, an unexpected email arrived from my Aunt Catherine, my mother's younger sister, who had always been considered the family's black sheep for choosing to pursue a career in international journalism instead of following the traditional path of marriage and family. Dear Olivia, her message began, I heard about the beach house situation from your mother, though I suspect her version differs significantly from reality. If you're free, I'd like to meet for lunch tomorrow. There's something you should know. Aunt Catherine had always been different from the rest of the family. While they viewed success through the lens of social status and conformity, she measured it through independence and personal growth. I hadn't seen her in person for nearly 2 years, as her work kept her traveling between global news bureaus, but we occasionally exchanged emails about our respective careers. We met at an intimate French bistro in Greenwich Village, away from the midtown restaurants my family typically frequented. Catherine looked exactly as I remembered, silver-streaked hair in a precise bob, keen eyes that missed nothing, and an air of complete self-possession that had always intimidated my mother. Your mother called me 3 days ago, she said after. We ordered, trying to recruit me to her cause. She painted quite a picture, the ungrateful daughter, the broken family tradition, the ruined summer plans. But then she mentioned something interesting. Catherine paused, studying me over her wine glass. She said, and I quote, We always knew Olivia would turn out just like you, putting her own selfish desires above family obligations. She meant, it as an insult, of course, but I've never been prouder of you. You're proud that I'm causing family discord? I asked, surprised. I'm proud that you're standing up for yourself. Do you know why I've never regretted choosing my career over the life your mother and our family wanted for me? Because true family, real, healthy family, doesn't demand that you diminish yourself to accommodate their expectations. She reached into her leather briefcase and withdrew a folder. Take a look at these. Inside were printouts of old emails, dozens of them, between my mother and various family members dating back several months. As I read, my hands began to shake. The emails detailed an elaborate plan to gradually increase their use of my beach house, starting with this summer vacation. They discussed how to best manage me, with my mother assuring everyone that once they established a precedent with this trip, they could easily expand into regular family use of the property. Your cousin Rebecca forwarded these to me, Catherine explained. She felt uncomfortable with the manipulation but was afraid to tell you directly. Your mother's influence in the family is significant. I sat back, processing this information. They weren't just planning a vacation, they were orchestrating a complete takeover of my property. While deliberately excluding you from the benefits of it, yes. It's a pattern I recognize well. When I bought my first apartment in Paris, your mother organized family trips there without consulting me. When I refused, I was labeled selfish and difficult. Sound familiar? How did you handle it? I asked, genuinely curious. I stood my ground. Lost some relationships, yes, but gained something more valuable: self-respect. The family members who truly cared about me eventually came around. The others? She shrugged eloquently. Their absence became a gift I hadn't known I needed. Catherine leaned forward, her expression serious. Olivia, you've built something remarkable, not just the beach house, but your entire life. You've achieved everything our family claimed to want for their daughters, yet they resent you for actually doing it on your own terms. That's not your failure. It's theirs. But the cost, I began, thinking of my nieces and nephews. Will be worth it, she finished firmly. Those children need to see a woman in their life who commands respect, who sets boundaries, who shows them that success doesn't mean surrendering your autonomy. You're teaching them far more by standing firm than you ever could by giving in. As our lunch concluded, Catherine handed me another envelope. One more thing. I'm doing a series of articles on women leaders breaking family and cultural expectations to achieve their dreams. Would you consider being interviewed? Your story, both professional and personal, could inspire others facing similar challenges. I thought about all the women in similar situations, struggling with family expectations and manipulation, afraid to set boundaries for fear of losing relationships. Yes, I decided. I'll do it. Excellent. Catherine smiled. Now, about this bachelorette weekend you're hosting. I assume the agenda includes more than just lounging by that infinity pool. For the first time in weeks, I laughed genuinely. Well, I did hire a private chef for a cooking class, and there's a sunset yacht cruise planned. Perfect. Mind if I join? I have some stories about your mother's college years that might make you feel better about your current situation. As we parted ways, Catherine hugged me tightly. Remember, Olivia, family is supposed to be a support system, not a sacrifice system. Anyone who demands you choose between your self-respect and their approval doesn't truly have your best interests at heart. Walking back to my office, I felt a new sense of clarity. The emails had confirmed what I'd already suspected. This wasn't just about a vacation. It was about power, control, and the price of independence. But with this understanding came strength. I was no longer just standing up for my property rights. I was standing up for every woman who'd ever been made to feel guilty for her success. The morning after my lunch with Aunt Catherine, I arrived at my office to find an urgent message from my real estate attorney, David Chen. His firm had received inquiries about my beach house's ownership structure from another law firm representing my parents. The implications were clear. They were exploring legal options. I immediately scheduled a conference call with David, who had handled the property purchase 3 years ago. As we discussed the situation, his concern was evident even through the professional veneer. They're attempting to establish a claim of implied ownership rights, David explained, his voice grave, based on their argument that family use was always intended to be part of the property's purpose. They're citing your previous verbal invitations and past family gatherings as evidence of an understood arrangement. But that's absurd, I responded, my investment banking background kicking in as I analyzed the situation. The house is solely in my name. I paid for it entirely with my own funds. There's no legal basis for their claim. You're correct, and any such case would be extremely weak. However, the fact that they're pursuing this avenue suggests they're willing to escalate this beyond a simple family disagreement. I thought about the emails Aunt Catherine had shown me, documenting my family's calculated plan to gradually take control of my property. I need to get ahead of this, I decided. What are my options? David outlined several preventative measures, and we spent the next hour developing a comprehensive strategy. By the end of our call, I had a clear action plan to protect both my property and my interests. That afternoon, I received an unexpected visit from my brother Michael's wife, Sarah. Unlike the rest of my family, Sarah had remained notably quiet throughout the beach house controversy. She appeared in my office looking uncomfortable, but determined. "I needed to talk to you privately," she began, declining my offer of water. "Michael doesn't know I'm here. What's happening with your family? It's not right. And there's something you should know." Sarah revealed that my mother had been pressuring Michael to use his position as a real estate developer to find ways to challenge my property rights. She's convinced him that if they can create enough legal pressure, you'll give in just to avoid family scandal. But Olivia... Sarah hesitated, then continued. "I've watched them take advantage of your success for years. The startup money they convinced you to give Michael? He never needed it for business. Your mother orchestrated that whole situation because she wanted to prove you'd choose family over financial sense." The revelation struck me like a physical blow. I'd given Michael $200,000 for his supposed business venture, money I'd saved, for a down payment on my first apartment. The investment had disappeared into what he claimed was a failed venture, forcing me to delay my own property plans for 2 years. "Why are you telling me this now?" I asked, studying my sister-in-law's face. "Because I have daughters," Sarah replied simply. "I've watched how your family treats successful women, either trying to diminish them or exploit them. I don't want my girls growing up thinking that's normal. When Emma told me she wants to be just like Aunt Olivia when she grows up, your mother actually tried to redirect her interest toward becoming a teacher instead. Nothing wrong with teaching, but the way she dismissed Emma's admiration of your career." Sarah shook her head. "It made me realize I can't stay silent anymore." Her words resonated with something Aunt Catherine had said about being a role model. I thought about Emma, about all my nieces, about the subtle messages they were receiving about success and family obligations. "Thank you for telling me this," I said sincerely. "It couldn't have been easy to come here." Sarah stood to leave but paused at the door. "You know what the saddest part is? They're so focused on taking advantage of your success that they've completely missed the real value of what you've built. Not just the house or your career, but your integrity. That's what I want my daughters to see." After Sarah left, I called David back with new instructions. Within hours, he had drawn up paperwork to create an irrevocable trust for my nieces and nephews' education, separate from any family interference. I also began documenting every interaction, every attempt at manipulation, every financial transaction that had been disguised as family obligation. That evening, I received an email from my mother. "We're willing to forgive your recent behavior and move forward as a family. All we ask is reasonable access to the beach house this summer. Surely you can see this is the sensible solution." I drafted my response carefully, drawing on both my professional experience and my newly strengthened resolve. "I've consulted with my attorneys regarding your recent inquiries about my property rights. Any further attempts to challenge my ownership will be met with appropriate legal response. Additionally, I've established an education trust for my nieces and nephews, managed by an independent trustee. This will ensure that my desire to support their futures cannot be manipulated for other purposes. I remain open to rebuilding our relationship on healthier terms, but that can only happen with full recognition of and respect for my boundaries, both personal and professional. Regards, Olivia." As I pressed send, I felt not the guilt they'd expected, but a profound sense of peace. Sometimes, standing your ground isn't just about protecting your property, it's about protecting your right to define yourself on your own terms. The next development in the situation came from an unexpected direction. 3 days after establishing the education trust, I was preparing for a major client presentation when Thomas rushed into my office with an urgent matter. A popular business and lifestyle blog had published an article titled, "Family Feud in the Hamptons, When Success Becomes a Liability." The article, clearly based on information leaked by someone in my family, painted a distinctly unflattering picture. It described me as an ambitious executive who had turned her back on family, traditions, and refused to share her success. While it didn't mention names directly, anyone familiar with the situation would recognize the details. I was reviewing the article when Claire called. "Have you seen what they're saying about you on social media? Your mother's country club? Friends are having a field day with this. One of them even suggested starting a boycott of Goldman Sachs over their family-unfriendly executives." The attempted public shaming was a calculated move designed to pressure me through professional embarrassment. However, my years in investment banking had taught me that perception could be managed with the right strategy. I contacted our PR department not to suppress the story, but to tell it properly. Instead of hiding from the narrative, I decided to reshape it. Working with our communications team, I prepared a statement that addressed the broader issues at play. The response was measured but clear. Success in business should empower women to make choices about their lives and properties, not obligate them to surrender their autonomy. The suggestion that professional achievement somehow negates an individual's right to set personal boundaries reflects outdated attitudes that harm not only women in business, but society as a whole. What happened next was unexpected. The story struck a chord with professional women across industries. My inbox filled with messages from other executives sharing similar experiences. Sarah Palmer, CEO of a Fortune 500 company, wrote about her family's attempts to use her vacation home as a timeshare. Victoria Chen, a prominent surgeon, described relatives who treated her salary as a family emergency fund. Aunt Catherine's news organization picked up the story, expanding it into a broader examination of how successful women often face unique pressures to compromise their boundaries in ways their male counterparts rarely experience. The conversation shifted from a personal family dispute to a meaningful dialogue about respect, boundaries, and the true meaning of family support. In the midst of this, I received a call from an unexpected source. My former mentor, Margaret Reynolds. Now retired, she had been one of the first female partners at Goldman Sachs and had guided my early career. "I saw the article," she said, her familiar no-nonsense tone unchanged by retirement. "You're handling it exactly right. When I made partner, in '85, my family expected me to finance everyone's dreams. Setting boundaries cost me relationships, but it earned me respect, most importantly, my own." "Did you ever regret it?" I asked, thinking of my nieces and nephews. "The only things I regret are the times I gave in to manipulation," she replied firmly. "Listen, Olivia, I'm hosting a dinner next week. There are some people you should meet, women who've navigated similar situations. We call ourselves the Boundary Brigade, partly as a joke, but mostly because we understand that sometimes the strongest families are the ones we choose." The invitation represented more than just a networking opportunity. It was a reminder that standing firm didn't mean standing alone. That evening, I received another email from my mother, this one copying several family members and family friends. "Your public airing of private family matters shows how far you've strayed from our values. We raised you to understand that family supports each other, not to embarrass us in the media. If you continue down this path, you'll leave us no choice but to distance ourselves from you completely." The threat of family estrangement, their final leverage, hung heavy in the air. Years ago, it might have worked. But now, sitting in my office overlooking the city I'd helped shape through countless deals and decisions, I saw it for what it was: a last attempt to maintain control through emotional manipulation. My response was brief but definitive. "I agree that families should support each other. Support, however, means respecting boundaries, celebrating success rather than exploiting it, and understanding that love shouldn't require the surrender of one's principles. I remain open to building a healthier relationship, but I won't compromise my integrity to maintain an unhealthy one." Later that night, as I worked late preparing for the next day's board meeting, I received a text from Emma, my 12-year-old niece. "Aunt Olivia, I read the article Mom was talking about. She tried to hide it from me, but I found it online. I don't think you're being selfish. I think you're being brave. When I grow up, I want to be brave like you." Her message reminded me that sometimes standing firm isn't just about protecting yourself. It's about showing others that they can do the same. In taking this stand, I wasn't just defending my property rights. I was demonstrating to the next generation that success shouldn't come with a mandatory surrender of personal boundaries. The dinner at Margaret Reynolds' Upper East Side penthouse proved to be a turning point, though not in the way I had anticipated. As I entered the elegantly appointed dining room, I found myself in the company of 12 accomplished women whose experiences mirrored my own in surprising ways. Patricia Martinez, who had built a successful tech company from the ground up, described how her family had attempted to claim partial ownership of her business, citing the emotional support they had provided during its early days. Diana Wong, a renowned cardiothoracic surgeon, shared her experience of relatives expecting her to fund their business ventures because family investment is safer than banks. However, it was Rebecca Steinberg's story that resonated most deeply. As the CFO of a major retail corporation, she had faced a situation remarkably similar to mine. "My parents tried to claim implied ownership of my vacation property in Aspen," she explained, swirling her wine thoughtfully. "They argued that since they had occasionally watched my children there, they had established a caretaker's right to the property." "What did you do?" I asked, recognizing the familiar tactics. "I turned it into a teaching moment," Rebecca replied. "I established a family foundation with clear guidelines for support and usage of shared resources. It wasn't easy, but it transformed a potential family crisis into an opportunity for establishing healthy boundaries." As the evening progressed, Margaret shared her own perspective. "What your family fails to understand, Olivia, is that true success isn't just about financial achievement. It's about maintaining your integrity while navigating complex relationships. The way you're handling this situation isn't just about a beach house. It's about setting a precedent for how successful women can maintain healthy boundaries without compromising their principles." The conversation shifted to practical strategies for addressing family expectations without sacrificing personal boundaries. These women had not only survived similar challenges, but had emerged stronger. Their relationships ultimately improved by clear boundaries and mutual respect. The next morning, I received an unexpected email from my cousin Rebecca, who had originally shared the family emails with Aunt Catherine. She had been following the public discussion sparked by the blog article and had made a decision of her. Your stand has made me realize something," she wrote. "I've been enabling toxic behavior by staying silent. I'm studying for my MBA, and Mom keeps telling me to choose a more family-friendly career path. She says ambitious women end up alone, using you as an example. But watching you stand firm has shown me that we don't have to choose between success and family. We just need to redefine what healthy family relationships look like." That afternoon, during a quarterly review meeting, one of our junior analysts, Jessica Chen, no relation, asked to speak with me privately. "Ms. Anderson," she began hesitantly, "I read about your situation. I'm facing something similar with my family in Chicago. They expect me to send half my salary home because family takes care of family. I've been afraid to say no, but seeing how you're handling your situation..." I thought carefully before responding, remembering my own early career struggles with family expectations. "Jessica, supporting family is admirable, but it shouldn't come at the cost of your own financial security or personal boundaries. Let's discuss some strategies for setting healthy financial boundaries while maintaining family relationships." That evening, as I prepared for a video call with potential investors, I received another message from Emma. "Aunt Olivia, today in school, we had to write about someone who inspires us. I wrote about you. My teacher asked if she could share my essay with the class because she said it's important for girls to see examples of women who stand up for themselves." The message brought unexpected tears to my eyes. In focusing on protecting my boundaries, I hadn't fully considered the ripple effect my actions might have on others, particularly the next generation of women. I opened my laptop and began drafting a proposal for a new initiative at Goldman Sachs, a mentorship program specifically designed to help young professionals navigate family expectations while building successful careers. The program would provide resources, support, and guidance for maintaining healthy boundaries without sacrificing professional growth. As I worked on the proposal, my phone lit up with a text from Aunt Catherine. "Your story has sparked quite a conversation in my newsroom. We're planning a series on successful women and family dynamics. Would you be willing to participate in a roundtable discussion? Margaret Reynolds and several others have already agreed." The opportunity to transform a personal challenge into a broader platform for change felt like the next logical step. My family had intended to shame me into compliance, but instead, they had inadvertently created a platform for addressing a common but rarely discussed challenge faced by successful women. The morning of Claire's bachelorette weekend arrived, coinciding with what would have been the start of my family's planned vacation. As I prepared the beach house for my guests, I received an urgent call from David Chen, my attorney. My mother had made an unexpected move that required immediate attention. "They've filed a complaint with the Hamptons Community Board," David explained, his voice measured but concerned. "They're claiming your use of the property for a bachelorette party violates residential zoning regulations, while attempting to argue that their planned family gathering would have been within guidelines." The strategic timing was clearly intended to disrupt the weekend plans, perhaps hoping this would force me to reconsider their vacation proposal. However, years of handling complex financial negotiations had taught me to anticipate and prepare for contingencies. I anticipated something like this, I responded, pulling up a file on my laptop. "Remember those documents we prepared last month? The ones detailing every gathering I've hosted here, including multiple family events." "Yes, the comparative analysis of property usage. Are you suggesting we present that to the board?" "Along with the professional event planning certification I obtained 3 weeks ago," I added. "All gatherings at my property, including this weekend, are fully compliant with local regulations. I've already filed the necessary permits." David's approval was evident in his tone. "You've stayed 3 steps ahead of them. The board meeting is scheduled for next Wednesday. Would you like me to handle it, or do you want to address them personally?" "I'll do it," I decided. It's time to address these attempts at control directly and professionally. As I ended the call, Claire arrived with the first group of guests. Among them was Dr. Sarah Mitchell, a prominent psychologist, specializing in family dynamics, whom I'd met at Margaret Reynolds' dinner. She had quickly become both a friend and a valuable advisor. "I heard about the community board complaint," Sarah said as we walked along the beach later that afternoon. "It's a classic example of what I call institutional leveraging, using formal structures to enforce informal control. Your family is attempting to legitimize their claims through official channels." "The irony is that they're strengthening my position," I replied. "Every formal challenge creates a record of their attempts to control my property. It's actually helping me establish clearer boundaries." Sarah nodded thoughtfully. "You're transforming their tactics into opportunities for growth. That's exactly what I'd like to discuss at next month's Women's Leadership Conference. Would you consider presenting your experience as a case study in boundary setting and professional empowerment?" The suggestion aligned perfectly with the mentorship initiative I'd been developing at Goldman Sachs. "I'm beginning to see how personal challenges can become platforms for broader change," I acknowledged. Our conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Thomas, who had driven out to deliver some urgent documents requiring my signature. However, he also brought unexpected news. "Ms. Anderson, I thought you should know. Your brother Michael was in the office lobby this morning, attempting to schedule a meeting with the board of directors. He was claiming to have evidence of ethical concerns regarding your handling of family assets. The attempted professional sabotage was a new, low, but not entirely surprising. How did the firm respond? The board's secretary reminded him that all such claims must be submitted through proper channels, including documentation of any alleged impropriety. He left without filing a formal complaint. I spent that evening hosting Claire's celebration, while simultaneously drafting a comprehensive response to my family's escalating tactics. The weekend proceeded exactly as planned, an elegant gathering of successful women supporting each other's achievements and happiness. On Sunday morning, as the guests were departing, I received an email from a partner at my firm. Olivia, the board has reviewed Michael's attempted intervention. We want you to know that the firm stands behind you. Your handling of this situation exemplifies the professional integrity we value. Additionally, we're interested in hearing more about your proposed mentorship initiative. Later that day, Sarah Mitchell called with an intriguing proposal. Your situation has highlighted a crucial gap in professional development resources, she explained. I'm developing a workshop series on maintaining professional boundaries in family dynamics. Would you be interested in collaborating? The opportunity to transform my personal challenge into a resource for others felt like the perfect response to my family's attempts at control. Instead of being diminished by their actions, I was finding ways to create positive change. That evening, I sat on my deck watching the sunset over the ocean when Aunt Catherine called with surprising news. Your mother's country club friends aren't quite the unified front she expected, she reported. After the community board complaint became public, several of them reached out to me. They've had similar experiences with their own children. Your stand is sparking some important conversations about family expectations and respect for boundaries. The Wednesday morning of the community board meeting arrived with an unexpected development. As I prepared my presentation, Thomas forwarded an email that had been circulating among local business leaders. Several prominent women in the Hamptons community had drafted a letter of support, addressing not just my specific situation, but the broader implications of family dynamics and property rights. Elizabeth Harrison, owner of 3 successful restaurants in the area, had initiated the letter. Her support carried particular weight, as she had faced similar challenges when her family attempted to claim partial ownership of her first restaurant, citing their emotional support during its opening year. The letter was co-signed by 15 other successful women business owners in the community. I arrived at the board meeting to find the room more crowded than usual. Among those present were several faces I recognized from Margaret Reynolds' dinner party, as well as local business owners and, surprisingly, some of my mother's country club friends. My parents sat near the front, my mother maintaining her usual composed facade while my father studied his phone with forced indifference. The board chairman, Richard Martinez, called the meeting to order. We're here to address a complaint regarding the residential usage of 42 Ocean View Drive, he began, but was interrupted by the arrival of Judge Sandra Chen, a respected member of the state court who owned the property adjacent to mine. My apologies for the delay, Judge Chen announced, taking her seat on the board. I believe this matter deserves our full attention, as it touches on important principles of property rights and community standards. As I presented my documentation, including the detailed history of property usage and all relevant permits, I maintained the same professional demeanor that had served me well in countless board meetings at Goldman Sachs. The complaint, I demonstrated, was not about zoning violations but about control. The property in question has hosted numerous gatherings over the past 3 years, I explained, displaying a comprehensive chart. These events have included family holidays, charitable fundraisers, and private celebrations. All have adhered to local regulations regarding noise, capacity, and timing. The recent bachelorette celebration was no exception. Judge Chen leaned forward. I can personally attest to this property's consistent compliance with community standards. As a neighbor, I've observed nothing but responsible ownership and consideration for community guidelines. Elizabeth Harrison stood to speak next. This board should be concerned about the precedent of allowing family disputes to be weaponized through community regulations. Many of us have built successful businesses and acquired properties through our own efforts. The attempt to use zoning complaints as leverage in family matters threatens the property rights of all community members. The discussion continued for another hour, but the outcome was clear. The board voted unanimously to dismiss the complaint, with Judge Chen adding a formal note to the record about the importance of protecting property owners from retaliatory complaints. As the meeting adjourned, my mother approached, her expression carefully neutral. "You've certainly built quite a support network for yourself," she observed, her tone suggesting this was somehow improper. "I've built relationships based on mutual respect and shared experiences," I corrected her. "The same way you've built your social circles. The difference is, I'm not using mine to undermine family members." Before she could respond, Elizabeth Harrison joined us. "Olivia, several of us are having dinner at my new restaurant tonight to discuss forming a Women's Property Owners Association. We'd love for you to join us. The focus will be on mentoring younger women in property investment and management." The look on my mother's face, a mixture of surprise and realization that her social circle was shifting, spoke volumes. For years, she had wielded her country club connections as a source of influence. Now, a new network was forming, one based on professional achievement and mutual support rather than social conformity. That evening, over dinner at Elizabeth's restaurant, the conversation centered on creating systematic support for women facing similar challenges. Patricia Reynolds, a real estate developer, proposed establishing a legal fund for women dealing with property rights disputes. Sarah Mitchell suggested incorporating family dynamics workshops into local business leadership programs. "What's happening here is bigger than individual property disputes," Judge Chen observed. "We're seeing a generational shift in how women protect their achievements and establish boundaries. Your situation, Olivia, has become a catalyst for important conversations about success, family obligations, and personal autonomy." As I drove home along the moonlit coastal road, I reflected on how my stand over the beach house had evolved into something far more significant. What had begun as a personal boundary issue had become a movement for systemic change. My phone buzzed with a text from Emma. "Mom told me about the board meeting. My friend's sister is doing a school project on women business leaders and property rights. Can she interview you? She says you're making history." The morning after the community board meeting, I received an unexpected email from Jennifer's husband, Robert. His message revealed a perspective I hadn't considered. "Olivia, I've watched this situation unfold from the sidelines, and I need to speak up. The way you've handled this has made me reconsider how we're teaching our daughters about success and family dynamics. Would you be willing to meet for coffee? There's something important I'd like to discuss." We met at a quiet cafe in the Yao City, where Robert shared his concerns about the messages his daughters were receiving. "Yesterday, I overheard Jennifer telling Emma that she shouldn't be too ambitious because it might make future relationships difficult. She used your situation as an example. It bothered me deeply because Emma looks up to you, and I want her to dream big." His words resonated with my growing understanding of how personal stands can impact future generations. Robert continued, explaining that he had enrolled Emma and her sister in a young entrepreneurs program, but Jennifer was resistant, citing family concerns. "I realize now that I've been complicit in perpetuating unhealthy family dynamics," Robert admitted. "The way your parents and Jennifer tried to claim rights to your property, it's part of a larger pattern of attempting to control successful women in the family. I don't want my daughters growing up thinking they need to choose between success and family support." Later that day, during a quarterly review meeting at Goldman Sachs, our CEO made an unexpected announcement. The firm was launching a new initiative called Success Without Surrender, inspired partly by my recent experiences. The program would provide resources and support for professionals navigating family expectations while building their careers. Ms. Anderson's handling of recent challenges has exemplified the kind of leadership we value, the CEO stated. She's demonstrated that maintaining professional boundaries and personal integrity can coexist with family relationships, though sometimes those relationships need to evolve. That evening, I received a call from Sarah Mitchell, who had been developing the workshop series on family dynamics. The response has been overwhelming, she reported. We've had inquiries from women across various industries, all facing similar challenges. But here's what's really interesting. We're also hearing from parents who want to better understand how to support their successful daughters. The conversation with Sarah led to an expansion of the workshop concept. Instead of focusing solely on boundary setting, we would include sessions for family members on adapting to changing dynamics when children, particularly daughters, achieve significant success. As these professional developments unfolded, I noticed a subtle shift in my family's approach. Michael's wife, Sarah, called to share that she had enrolled in business school, inspired partly by my stand. Watching you maintain your boundaries, despite immense pressure, made me realize I've been limiting myself out of fear of family disapproval, she explained. Even more surprisingly, my father reached out through his attorney, requesting a meeting to discuss more appropriate ways to maintain family connections. The formal channel of communication represented a significant change from the previous emotional manipulation tactics. During a leadership conference the following week, where I was speaking about professional boundaries and family dynamics, a young analyst approached me afterward. Your story changed how I handle family pressures, she shared. I recently bought my first apartment, and when relatives started treating it like a free hotel, I remembered how you stood your ground. I set clear boundaries from the start, and though there was initial resistance, they're beginning to respect my position. These ripple effects of my stand became increasingly apparent. The education trust I had established for my nieces and nephews was already showing positive impacts. Emma had written an essay about financial independence for her school newspaper, citing the trust as an example of supporting family members while maintaining healthy boundaries. That weekend, as I prepared for another board meeting, I received an unexpected invitation. Judge Chen was organizing a mentorship program for young women interested in property investment and management. Your experience has highlighted the need for better support systems, she explained. We'd like you to be one of our primary mentors. The invitation represented more than just professional recognition. It was an opportunity to help create the support system I wished I'd had. When starting my career, as I looked out over the ocean from my beach house deck, I realized that what had begun as a defense of personal boundaries had evolved into a movement for change. My phone buzzed with a message from Aunt Catherine. The article series on women, success and family dynamics has been picked up by major publications. They're calling it a watershed moment in how we discuss family obligations versus personal autonomy. You didn't just protect your boundaries, you helped change the conversation. The impact of my stand regarding the beach house property continued to resonate through professional circles in unexpected ways. One morning, as I reviewed quarterly projections in my office, I received a call from Victoria Chen, CEO of a major investment firm and a member of several corporate boards. She had been following the developments of my situation with particular interest. Your handling of this family property dispute has highlighted a critical gap in corporate governance, she explained. Many high-level executives face similar pressures from family members attempting to leverage their success. We're considering implementing guidelines for supporting executives dealing with family-related financial pressures while maintaining professional integrity. Victoria's call was followed by an invitation to speak at an exclusive corporate governance summit. The topic would focus on how personal boundary settings affect professional leadership and decision-making. This opportunity represented a significant shift in how the business world approached the intersection of personal and professional challenges. During the preparation for the summit, I worked closely with our legal team to develop comprehensive guidelines for protecting executives from family-related financial exploitation. These guidelines would serve as a template for other corporations, addressing everything from property rights to investment boundaries. The morning of the summit, I arrived to find an unexpected addition to the attendee list. My father's name appeared among the participants, registered through his former company's corporate governance program. His presence suggested a level of professional interest that transcended our personal conflict. As I delivered my presentation, I maintained steady eye contact with various audience members, including my father. The preservation of professional integrity often begins with personal boundary setting, I explained. When we allow personal relationships to compromise our professional judgment, we not only undermine our own authority, but also set dangerous precedents for our organizations. The discussion that followed was illuminating. Several executives shared similar experiences of family members attempting to claim rights to their professional success. A common theme emerged: the need for clear protocols in handling family-related financial pressures at the executive level. During the networking session afterward, my father approached, his demeanor noticeably different from our previous encounters. "Your presentation raised some important points about corporate governance," he said, speaking as one professional to another. "It's made me reconsider some of my own assumptions about family obligations versus professional boundaries." This professional acknowledgement, though small, represented a significant shift in our dynamic. By elevating the discussion to a professional level, we had found a new way to communicate that bypassed emotional manipulation. Later that week, I received a formal proposal from Goldman Sachs' board of directors. They wanted to establish a comprehensive executive protection program, focusing on maintaining professional integrity in the face of personal pressures. I was asked to lead the initiative, drawing from my recent experiences. The program would include legal resources, professional counseling, and peer support networks for executives facing similar challenges. It represented a fundamental shift in how corporations viewed their role in supporting executives' personal boundary setting. During the initial planning meeting, Sarah Mitchell provided valuable insights from a psychological perspective. "What we're really addressing here is the intersection of professional success and family systems," she explained. "By creating formal support structures, we're acknowledging that personal boundary setting is crucial for professional success." The initiative quickly gained traction across various industries. Other financial institutions began developing similar programs, recognizing the need to protect their executives from family-related financial pressures. The conversation had evolved from a personal property dispute to a broader discussion of professional integrity and boundary setting. As these developments unfolded, I received an email from Emma's school counselor. My niece had been selected to participate in a Young Leaders program, and she had cited my experience in her application essay. "I learned from my aunt that success isn't just about achieving goals," she wrote. "It's about maintaining your integrity and helping others do the same." The professional implications of my stand continued to expand. Judge Chen invited me to contribute to a legal framework for protecting successful professionals from family-related property claims. The framework would provide clear guidelines for maintaining personal boundaries while preserving professional relationships. That evening, as I prepared for a board meeting, Thomas delivered an interesting piece of news. Several professional organizations had requested permission to use my beach house situation as a case study in their executive training programs. The focus would be on maintaining professional integrity while navigating complex family dynamics. The following month brought an unexpected opportunity to effect change at an institutional level. Harvard Business School contacted me about developing a case study based on my experience, focusing on the intersection of personal boundary setting and professional leadership. The project would examine how personal stands can catalyze organizational change. During the initial consultation with Professor Diana Hamilton, we discussed the broader implications of my situation. "What makes your case particularly interesting," she noted, is how it demonstrates the evolution from personal boundary setting to institutional policy development. We'd like to explore how individual actions can drive systemic change. The development of the case study coincided with a significant announcement from Goldman Sachs. The firm was establishing a new division dedicated to executive wellness and boundary maintenance, with a particular focus on supporting leaders facing personal challenges that could impact their professional effectiveness. I was asked to serve as the advisory board chair. The announcement attracted attention from other major financial institutions. Morgan Stanley and J.P. Morgan reached out to discuss implementing similar programs. The conversation had shifted from individual property rights to creating comprehensive support systems for professionals facing family-related pressures. During this period, I received an unexpected message from my mother's closest friend, Eleanor Bradford, who served on several corporate boards. "Your stand has sparked important discussions in our board meetings," she wrote. "We're reassessing our policies on executive support and protection." The old assumption that personal matters should remain entirely separate from professional concerns no longer serves our leaders effectively. The message highlighted how the ripple effects of my beach house situation had reached beyond family dynamics into corporate governance. The following week, I was invited to speak at a conference of corporate board members, addressing the need for formal support systems in protecting executive autonomy. As I prepared for the conference, Sarah Mitchell shared insights from her ongoing research. "What we're seeing," she explained, "is a fundamental shift in how organizations view their role in supporting executive boundary setting. Your experience has highlighted the need for institutional backing when leaders face personal challenges that could compromise their professional effectiveness." The conference presentation exceeded expectations. Representatives from Fortune 500 companies expressed strong interest in developing similar support systems. The discussion evolved into a broader conversation about corporate responsibility in protecting executive autonomy. During the networking session, I encountered Robert, my brother-in-law, who was attending as a representative of his firm's board. "Your presentation resonated with many of us," he shared. "We've seen countless cases of successful executives struggling with family pressures, but until now there hasn't been a framework for addressing these challenges systematically." The following day, I received a formal request from the American Bar Association. They were developing guidelines for protecting professional women's property rights and wanted to incorporate elements of my experience into their recommendations. The legal framework would provide clear precedents for maintaining personal boundaries while navigating family obligations. As these professional developments unfolded, I noticed a subtle shift in my family's approach. My father, who had attended several corporate governance seminars where my case was discussed, began viewing the situation through a more professional lens. He sent a formal email requesting a meeting to discuss restructuring family interactions in accordance with professional best practices. The email represented a significant departure from previous emotional appeals. It acknowledged my professional authority and suggested a willingness to engage on more equal terms. The language reflected the broader institutional changes taking place across the business world. That evening, while reviewing proposals for the new executive support program, I received a call from Victoria Chen. "Your case study has become required reading in our leadership development program," she informed me. "We're seeing a marked improvement in how our executives handle personal boundary challenges. They're approaching these situations with greater confidence and clearer frameworks for decision-making." The conversation with Victoria led to an expansion of the program's scope. We began developing specific protocols for handling family-related financial pressures, creating clear guidelines for maintaining professional boundaries without completely severing family ties. As these institutional changes took shape, I realized that my stand over the beach house had evolved into something far more significant than a property dispute. It had become a catalyst for systematic change in how organizations support their leaders in maintaining personal and professional boundaries. The evolution of my beach house situation into a catalyst for institutional change reached a new milestone when the Women's Executive Leadership Forum approached me about establishing a comprehensive mentorship program. The initiative would focus specifically on helping successful women navigate the complex intersection of professional achievement and family expectations. During the initial planning session, Margaret Reynolds provided valuable insight from her decades of experience. "What we're creating here isn't just another mentorship program," she explained. "We're establishing a support system that acknowledges the unique challenges faced by successful women when their achievements clash with family expectations." The program's development coincided with a significant shift in my professional responsibilities at Goldman Sachs. The firm's board had recognized the potential of integrating personal boundary maintenance into their leadership development framework. I was appointed to lead a new division focused on executive empowerment and professional autonomy. This new role brought unexpected allies. Jennifer's oldest daughter, Emma, now actively participating in her school's business leadership program, requested an interview for a project on women in finance. Her questions revealed a sophisticated understanding of the challenges successful women face. "Aunt Olivia," she asked during our discussion, "how do you balance maintaining professional boundaries with preserving family relationships? Our business ethics class discussed your case study, and it made me think about how success changes family dynamics." The maturity of her inquiry reflected the broader impact of recent events. The conversation led to the development of a youth component for our executive mentorship program, focusing on preparing the next generation of women leaders to establish healthy boundaries early in their careers. During this period, I received a formal communication from my father's attorney. The tone and content marked a significant departure from previous interactions. "In light of recent developments in corporate governance regarding family business relations," it began, "we propose establishing a structured framework for future family interactions." The proposal included specific protocols for handling family requests, property usage, and financial matters. It acknowledged my right to maintain professional boundaries while suggesting constructive ways to preserve family connections. The approach reflected the institutional changes taking place across the business world. Sarah Mitchell, reviewing the proposal from a psychological perspective, noted its significance. "This represents a fundamental shift in your family's approach," she observed. "They're adopting the professional framework you've established, moving from emotional manipulation to structured interaction." The following week, I presented at a conference for women business leaders, sharing how personal boundary setting had evolved into institutional change. The audience included several familiar faces from my mother's social circle, their presence indicating a shift in perspective among their generation. After the presentation, Eleanor Bradford approached me with an unexpected proposition. Her women's business network wanted to establish a property rights advocacy group, focusing on protecting successful women's assets from family-related claims. "Your experience has highlighted a common but rarely addressed issue," she explained. "We need formal structures to support women in maintaining their professional autonomy." The initiative quickly gained support from various professional organizations. The American Bar Association's Women's Division offered to provide legal expertise, while several corporate boards pledged financial backing. What had begun as a personal stand was transforming into a movement for systematic change. During this period of professional expansion, I received an email from my brother, Michael's wife, Sarah. She had enrolled in an MBA program and wanted to discuss the Executive Mentorship Initiative. "Watching how you've handled this situation has changed my perspective on professional achievement," she wrote. "I want to help other women navigate similar challenges." The conversation with Sarah led to an important addition to our mentorship program. We developed a specific module addressing how successful women can support family members' professional growth while maintaining healthy boundaries. The approach emphasized empowerment rather than enablement. As these developments unfolded, I noticed a transformation in how my family approached professional achievement. Emma's younger sister had begun asking sophisticated questions about career development and financial independence. My nephew expressed interest in the Youth Business Leadership program. The next generation was learning valuable lessons about success, boundaries, and professional integrity. The transformation of my personal boundary-setting experience into a broader professional movement reached a new phase when the New York State Bar Association contacted me about developing legal guidelines for protecting professional women's assets. The initiative would create a framework for addressing family-related property claims while maintaining professional relationships. During a key strategy meeting with leading corporate attorneys, Judge Chen provided valuable perspective on the legal implications. What we're establishing here goes beyond property rights, she explained. We're creating legal precedents that acknowledge the unique challenges successful women face when family expectations clash with professional achievements. The development of these guidelines coincided with a significant expansion of Goldman Sachs's Executive Protection Program. The firm had recognized the value of integrating personal boundary maintenance into their corporate culture. Our board approved the establishment of a dedicated resource center for executives facing family-related pressures. This institutional support led to an unexpected conversation with my father's former colleagues at his previous firm. They had implemented similar programs and wanted to discuss how these changes were affecting corporate culture. Your situation has sparked a reassessment of how we support our executives, the current CEO explained during our meeting. We're seeing improved performance metrics since implementing these boundary protection protocols. The professional impact extended beyond financial institutions. Sarah Mitchell reported increasing requests from major corporations for workshops on maintaining professional boundaries. Companies are recognizing that supporting their executives' personal autonomy directly affects their bottom line, she noted. Your experience has become a catalyst for organizational change. During this period, I received a formal communication from my mother's social circle. The tone marked a significant shift in their perspective. We're establishing a mentorship program for young women in our community, the letter stated. Would you consider serving as an advisory board member? Your experience offers valuable insights into maintaining professional independence. The request represented a remarkable evolution in their approach. These were the same women who had initially criticized my stand against family demands. Now they were seeking guidance on empowering the next generation of professional women. The following week, I presented at a conference for corporate board members, addressing the integration of personal boundary protection into corporate governance. The audience included several family members of successful executives, their presence indicating growing recognition of the need for systematic support. After the presentation, Eleanor Bradford shared an interesting development. Her women's business network had conducted a study on family-related financial pressures faced by successful executives. The data confirms what your experience illustrated, she explained. We need formal structures to protect professional achievements from family exploitation. The study's findings led to the development of a comprehensive training program for corporate boards. The initiative focused on creating policies that support executives in maintaining professional boundaries while preserving family relationships. Several major corporations quickly adopted the framework. During this period of professional expansion, I received an email from Jennifer's husband, Robert. His perspective had evolved significantly since our earlier conversations. The changes you've inspired in corporate culture are affecting how we approach success in our family, he wrote. We're teaching our daughters to value both achievement and healthy boundaries. The conversation with Robert highlighted an important aspect of our institutional changes. We weren't just protecting current executives, we were reshaping how future generations view professional success and family obligations. As these developments unfolded, I noticed a transformation in how younger professionals approached family dynamics. During a mentorship session, A junior executive shared how she had used our guidelines to establish clear boundaries with family members before accepting a promotion. "Your experience taught me to address these issues proactively," she explained. The ripple effects of these changes reached unexpected places. My nephew, participating in his school's business club, presented a case study on professional boundary setting. His analysis demonstrated sophisticated understanding of how personal autonomy contributes to professional success. The integration of personal boundary protection into corporate policy reached a significant milestone when the Securities and Exchange Commission expressed interest in our executive protection framework. Their inquiry focused on how maintaining personal autonomy contributed to better corporate governance and decision-making. During a closed-door session with SEC representatives, I presented data from Goldman Sachs's Executive Protection Program. The statistics revealed a clear correlation between strong personal boundaries and improved professional performance. Executives who maintained clear family boundaries showed better judgment in high-stakes decisions and demonstrated greater resilience under pressure. This presentation coincided with a groundbreaking development at the firm. Our board approved the establishment of a comprehensive executive autonomy division dedicated to protecting leaders from external pressures that could compromise their professional judgment. The initiative would serve as a model for other financial institutions. The corporate landscape began shifting in response to these changes. Major firms implemented similar programs, recognizing that protecting their executives' personal autonomy directly impacted their bottom line. The Wall Street Journal published an analysis of this trend, citing my beach house situation as the catalyst for this institutional evolution. During this period, I received formal communication from my family's attorney. The document acknowledged the broader implications of our situation. In light of recent developments in corporate governance regarding executive autonomy, we propose establishing a structured framework for family interactions that aligns with current best practices in professional boundary maintenance. The proposal represented a significant departure from their previous approach. Instead of emotional appeals, they suggested creating clear protocols for family gatherings, property, usage, and financial matters. The document even referenced the executive autonomy guidelines we had developed at Goldman Sachs. Sarah Mitchell, reviewing the proposal from a psychological perspective, noted its significance. "This represents more than just a change in tactics," she observed. "Your family is acknowledging that professional boundary setting has become a recognized standard in corporate America. They're adapting to a new reality you helped create." The following week, I presented at an international conference on corporate governance. The audience included business leaders from various cultures, all grappling with similar challenges of balancing professional success with family obligations. My experience had resonated across cultural boundaries, highlighting universal themes in executive autonomy. After the presentation, a delegation of Asian business leaders approached me about adapting our framework for their cultural context. "In our societies, family obligations often overshadow professional boundaries," their spokesperson explained. "Your approach offers a blueprint for maintaining both." This international interest led to the development of culturally adaptive versions of our executive protection program. We worked with global partners to create guidelines that respected cultural nuances while maintaining core principles of professional autonomy. During this period of global expansion, I received an unexpected message from my mother's social circle. They had established a scholarship program for young women pursuing business careers, with a focus on teaching boundary-setting skills early in professional development. They requested my involvement in shaping the curriculum. The evolution of their perspective was remarkable. These were the same women who had initially criticized my stand against family demands. Now they were actively working to prepare the next generation of professional women for similar challenges. As these developments unfolded, I observed a transformation in how successful professionals approached family dynamics. During a mentorship session, a senior executive shared how she had used our guidelines to restructure her family's expectations, regarding her vacation property. Your experience provided a roadmap for maintaining professional boundaries without sacrificing family relationships, she explained. The impact extended beyond individual cases. Corporate boards began including boundary protection measures in their executive compensation packages. Human resources departments developed specific protocols for supporting executives facing family-related pressures. What had begun as a personal stand had evolved into a fundamental shift in corporate culture. The institutionalization of executive boundary protection reached a new phase when Harvard Business School incorporated our framework into their MBA curriculum. The course, titled Professional Autonomy and Leadership Success, used my beach house situation as a foundational case study for examining how personal boundary maintenance affects executive decision-making. Professor Diana Hamilton, who developed the course, invited me to speak at its inaugural session. "What makes your experience particularly valuable for our students," she explained during our preparation meeting, "is how it demonstrates the connection between personal integrity and professional excellence. You've shown that maintaining boundaries isn't just about protecting assets, it's about preserving decision-making clarity." The academic recognition coincided with a significant development at Goldman Sachs. Our Executive Autonomy Division had compiled comprehensive data showing that leaders who maintained strong personal boundaries demonstrated superior risk assessment, capabilities, and better long-term strategic planning. The findings prompted several other major financial institutions to establish similar programs. During this period, I received formal communication from the Women's Leadership Council, a prestigious organization of female executives. They were establishing a certification program in professional boundary maintenance and requested my involvement in developing the criteria. The program would become a standard requirement for executive development across multiple industries. The evolution of these initiatives led to an unexpected invitation from my father's former business school. They were revising their executive education program to include modules on family dynamics and professional success. "Your experience has highlighted a crucial gap in traditional business education," the dean explained. "We've been teaching technical skills without addressing the personal challenges that often derail promising careers." This academic interest spurred the development of a comprehensive educational framework. Working with Sarah Mitchell and other experts, we created a curriculum that addressed both the psychological and professional aspects of maintaining boundaries while building successful careers. The impact of these educational initiatives became apparent during a mentorship session with emerging female executives. One participant shared how studying our framework had helped her navigate a complex family situation involving her newly acquired commercial property. "Understanding the broader implications of boundary setting gave me the confidence to maintain my professional standards," she explained. As these developments unfolded, I received notification that the Executive Women's Network had selected me for their annual Leadership Impact Award. The recognition acknowledged not just personal achievement, but the broader influence of our boundary protection initiatives on corporate culture. During the award ceremony, Margaret Reynolds delivered a keynote address that highlighted the transformative nature of our work. "What began as one executive's stand for personal boundaries has evolved into a movement reshaping how we approach professional success," she observed. "We're witnessing the emergence of a new paradigm in corporate leadership." The ceremony coincided with the release of a major study by the Corporate Governance Institute examining the relationship between personal boundary maintenance and executive performance. The research validated our approach, showing that leaders who maintained clear personal boundaries made more objective business decisions and demonstrated greater resilience in challenging situations. This validation led to the expansion of our executive protection programs into new sectors. Healthcare organizations, legal firms, and technology companies began implementing similar frameworks. The principles we had developed were proving applicable across diverse professional environments. During this period of expansion, I received an unexpected message from my brother Michael's business partner. Their firm had implemented our boundary protection protocols, leading to improved decision-making and stronger client relationships. Watching how you handled the beach house situation changed our approach to professional boundaries, he wrote. We're seeing the benefits throughout our organization. The professional impact extended to unexpected areas. Law schools began incorporating our framework into their business law curriculum. Medical schools added modules on maintaining professional boundaries in private practice. What had begun as a personal stand for property rights had evolved into a fundamental shift in how professionals approach success and family dynamics. As the professional impact of our boundary protection initiatives continued to expand, an unexpected personal development emerged. The education trust I had established for my nieces and nephews began showing remarkable results. Emma had been accepted into a prestigious summer business program, while her sister Maya had started a successful student entrepreneurship club at her school. During a mentorship session with Emma's business program, I discovered how deeply our family's experience had influenced her perspective on success. Your stand wasn't just about the beach house, she observed with remarkable insight. It was about showing us that success doesn't require sacrificing your self-respect. This conversation coincided with a significant shift in my family's dynamics. My mother, who had initially been one of the strongest opponents of my boundary setting, reached out through her new business consultant. The approach itself demonstrated how our professional framework had influenced even personal communications. Your mother has been attending workshops on modern family business dynamics, the consultant explained during our meeting. She's beginning to understand how traditional family expectations can undermine professional success. She's interested in establishing a structured approach to rebuilding family relationships based on mutual respect rather than obligation. The proposal outlined a professional framework for family interactions, including clear protocols for property usage, financial boundaries, and communication channels. It represented a fundamental shift from emotional manipulation to professional respect. During this period, I received notification that several families in our social circle had implemented similar frameworks. The change was particularly noticeable at community events, where discussions of children's success now included conversations about boundary setting and professional autonomy. Sarah Mitchell, observing these changes, noted their broader significance. What we're seeing is a transformation in how families approach success, she explained. Your experience has provided a model for maintaining professional integrity while preserving family connections. The impact extended to my brother Michael's approach to parenting. During a family business event, he shared how he had revised his expectations for his children's future. Watching how this situation unfolded made me realize I was perpetuating unhealthy patterns, he admitted. Now I'm focusing on teaching my kids about professional boundaries and self-respect. This evolution in family thinking led to an unexpected initiative. Several families in our community, including former critics of my stand, began organizing workshops for parents of successful children. The focus was on supporting professional achievement while maintaining healthy family dynamics. The transformation became evident during a community fundraiser where my mother's social circle had traditionally dominated. The event now included panels on professional development and boundary setting, with successful women sharing their experiences in maintaining personal autonomy. During this period, I received an invitation to speak at my niece Maya's school, Career Day. The topic they requested was particularly telling: success without surrender, maintaining professional boundaries in family relationships. The students' questions revealed how our family's experience had influenced their understanding of professional success. The changes extended to practical family matters. Jennifer, who had initially been one of the strongest critics of my boundary setting, began implementing similar principles in her own professional life. She had started a small consulting business and was actively using our framework to manage client relationships and family expectations. This personal evolution culminated in an unexpected family gathering at my beach house, one planned with proper protocols and respect for boundaries. The event demonstrated how professional frameworks could transform even the most challenging family dynamics. The transformation of my beach house situation into a catalyst for professional and personal change reached a pivotal moment when the National Association of Corporate Directors invited me to keynote their annual conference. The theme, Maintaining Professional Integrity and Family Dynamics, reflected how deeply our boundary protection principles had penetrated corporate culture. During the conference preparation, I received unexpected news from Goldman Sachs's board of directors. They had decided to establish a permanent endowment for the Executive Autonomy Program, ensuring its continuation beyond my tenure. The program would be named the Anderson Initiative for Professional Integrity, institutionalizing the principles we had developed. This recognition coincided with a remarkable development in my family's evolution. Emma, now preparing for college, had been selected to present at a youth leadership conference. Her topic? Breaking Generational Patterns: How Professional Boundaries Shape Future Success. Her presentation included insights from our family's experience, viewed through the lens of the next generation. What my aunt taught us wasn't just about property rights, Emma explained to her audience. It was about understanding that success requires both achievement and the courage to protect that achievement. We learned that setting boundaries isn't selfish. It's essential for maintaining professional integrity. The impact of these principles became evident in unexpected ways. During a board meeting at Goldman Sachs, a junior executive shared how our framework had helped her navigate a complex family situation involving her startup company. Understanding the intersection of professional success and family dynamics gave me the tools to maintain both my business integrity and family relationships, she explained. This period also brought an interesting proposal from my father's former business partners. They had implemented our boundary protection protocols throughout their organization and were seeing positive results. Now they wanted to establish a scholarship program for business students focusing on professional autonomy and family dynamics. The scholarship initiative led to an unexpected collaboration with my mother's social circle. These women, who had initially criticized my stand, now wanted to contribute their experiences to the program's development. Their perspective on how traditional family expectations could impact professional success added valuable insight to our training materials. During this time, I received a formal invitation from the Women's Executive Leadership Council to establish a permanent institute focused on professional boundary maintenance. The institute would serve as a research center and training facility, helping the next generation of leaders navigate the complex intersection of success and family expectations. The Institute's development coincided with a significant shift in my family's approach to success. Jennifer's youngest daughter had started a school project examining how different generations view professional achievements. Her research revealed how our family's experience had influenced younger members' understanding of boundaries and success. This generational impact became clear during a family gathering at my beach house, one arranged through proper channels, with clear boundaries. The younger generation demonstrated a sophisticated understanding of professional protocols, naturally incorporating boundary-setting principles into their interactions. The gathering itself represented a remarkable evolution. Instead of the entitled expectations that had characterized past family interactions, there was a professional respect for boundaries and property rights. Even my mother, who had initially orchestrated the vacation takeover attempt, now approached family events with a new understanding of professional protocols. During this period, I received notification that several major universities were incorporating our experience into their business ethics curriculum. The beach house situation had become a classic case study in maintaining professional boundaries while navigating family expectations. The academic interest extended beyond business schools. Law schools began examining our case as an example of how property rights intersect with family dynamics. Medical schools incorporated our boundary-setting principles into their professional ethics courses. The impact had transcended its original context. This broader influence led to an unexpected opportunity. The International Women's Business Federation requested our help in developing global guidelines for professional boundary protection. They recognized that while cultural contexts might vary, the need to maintain professional autonomy while respecting family relationships was universal. 1 year after the initial beach house conflict, I stood at a podium in the United Nations Conference Hall, addressing an international symposium on women's professional empowerment. The journey from a personal, property dispute to this global platform reflected how individual stands for principle can catalyze widespread change. The symposium coincided with the release of a comprehensive study by the World Economic Forum, examining how family dynamics affect women's professional success across different cultures. My experience had become a central case study in their analysis of effective boundary-setting strategies. During the conference, I received news that would have seemed impossible a year earlier. My mother had been invited to speak at a women's leadership panel about evolving perspectives on family support for professional success. Her topic? From opposition to understanding, how my daughter's stand changed our family's view of achievement. The evolution in my mother's thinking became evident during her presentation. We had always viewed family support as having unlimited access to our successful children's resources, she admitted to her audience. What we failed to understand was how this approach undermined both their professional integrity and our family relationships. This period also brought an unexpected development in my professional life. Goldman Sachs had decided to expand the Executive Autonomy Program into a global initiative. The program would help international executives navigate cultural expectations while maintaining professional boundaries. During the program's international launch, I received a message from Emma that perfectly captured the generational impact of our experience. She had been accepted into several prestigious business schools and had used our family's story in her application essays. Your stand showed me that success isn't just about achieving goals, she wrote. It's about maintaining the integrity of those achievements. The ripple effects extended beyond our immediate family. Sarah Mitchell reported that several family therapy practices had adopted our boundary-setting framework as a standard protocol for working with successful professionals. The medical community recognized that maintaining professional boundaries was crucial for mental health and career longevity. This professional validation led to an innovative collaboration with the American Psychological Association. We began developing specialized training programs for therapists working with successful executives facing family pressure. The initiative acknowledged that maintaining professional boundaries often required both practical and emotional support. During this period, I received an unexpected invitation from my father's Business School Alumni Association. They were establishing a Center for Professional Ethics and Family Dynamics, inspired partly by our experience. The center would focus on helping business leaders navigate family expectations while maintaining professional integrity. The center's development coincided with a remarkable shift in my family's approach to success. Jennifer's consulting business had grown significantly, and she now incorporated boundary-setting principles into her client relationships. Understanding professional boundaries hasn't just protected my success, she explained during a family gathering. It's enhanced it. This transformation became evident during a community fundraiser where my mother's social circle had traditionally dominated. The event now included workshops on supporting professional achievement while respecting boundaries. Several of my former critics had become advocates for professional autonomy. The impact extended to unexpected areas. Local schools began incorporating basic boundary-setting principles into their career guidance programs. Religious organizations added modules on healthy family support for professional success. The conversation about achievement and boundaries had permeated various aspects of community life. During this period of community transformation, I received a formal request from the Harvard Business Review. They wanted to publish a comprehensive analysis of how our experience had influenced corporate culture. The article would examine how personal boundary setting had evolved into institutional change. 18 months after the initial beach house conflict, I stood on my oceanfront deck hosting a very different kind of family gathering. This wasn't the entitled invasion my parents had originally planned, but a professionally organized event, celebrating Emma's acceptance into Harvard Business School's dual-degree program in business and psychology, focusing on professional boundaries in family enterprises. The gathering represented everything we had learned about maintaining professional boundaries while nurturing family relationships. Every detail, from the formal invitations to the structured schedule, reflected our new understanding of respect and autonomy. Even the seating arrangement at dinner had been planned to facilitate meaningful conversations about success and boundaries. During the celebration, my mother approached me with an unexpected proposal. She had been working with Sarah Mitchell to develop a workshop series for parents of successful children. "Your stand forced me to confront some uncomfortable truths," she admitted. "Now I want to help other parents avoid the mistakes we made." The evolution in our family dynamics had caught the attention of major media outlets. The Wall Street Journal was preparing a special feature on how our experience had influenced corporate America's approach to executive autonomy. Forbes had already named me one of their Women to Watch for transforming a personal challenge into institutional change. That evening, as family members shared their perspectives on our journey, Michael's wife Sarah revealed something surprising. "When this all started, we thought Olivia was being difficult," she confessed to the group. "Now we understand she was being visionary." She saw that maintaining professional boundaries wasn't just about protecting assets. It was about preserving the integrity of success itself. The impact of our experience had extended far beyond our immediate family. Judge Chen, who had supported my initial stand at the community board meeting, reported that property disputes involving successful professionals had decreased significantly since the implementation of our boundary protection protocols. "Your case established a precedent for protecting professional autonomy," she explained. During the gathering, I received news that the Executive Autonomy Program had been adopted by every major financial institution on Wall Street. The program's success had led to the creation of an industry-wide standard for supporting executives in maintaining professional boundaries. The transformation in our family's approach to success became evident when Jennifer's oldest daughter announced her entrepreneurial plans. Instead of the traditional family pressure to share resources, the response was structured and professional. "What kind of support would be most beneficial for your business plan?" my father asked, demonstrating our new framework in action. This evolution in family thinking had influenced even the youngest generation. Emma's sister Maya, now in high school, had started a club focused on professional development and boundary setting. "We want to learn these principles early," she explained, "so we don't have to learn them the hard way." As the evening progressed, Aunt Catherine, who had supported my initial stand, shared an observation that captured our journey's essence. "A year ago, this family was divided by entitlement and manipulation," she noted. "Now we're united by respect and understanding. That's the real triumph of Olivia's stand." The celebration concluded with an unexpected announcement. The Anderson Family Foundation, traditionally controlled by my parents, was being restructured into a professional organization with clear protocols for supporting family success. The new structure incorporated all the boundary protection principles we had developed. Looking out over the ocean as the last guests departed, I reflected on how far we had come. The beach house that had symbolized family conflict had become a testament to professional integrity and healthy boundaries. More importantly, it represented a new model for balancing success with family relationships. 2 years after the initial beach house conflict, I found myself addressing the World Economic Forum in Davos, sharing how a personal property dispute had evolved into a global movement for professional autonomy. The forum's theme, Redefining Success, Professional Boundaries in the Modern Era, reflected how deeply our experience had influenced international business culture. During the forum, an unexpected announcement captured the scope of our impact. The United Nations Women's Economic Empowerment Initiative had adopted our boundary protection framework as part of their global standards for professional development. The principles we'd developed would now help women worldwide maintain their professional integrity while navigating family expectations. The morning of my keynote speech, I received an email from Emma that perfectly encapsulated our journey's broader significance. She had been selected to lead a research project at Harvard Business School, examining how boundary-setting protocols affect long-term professional success. "Your stand didn't just change our family," she wrote. "It's changing how the world views the relationship between success and family dynamics." This academic interest coincided with a remarkable development in my professional sphere. Goldman Sachs had partnered with leading business schools to establish the Global Center for Professional Autonomy. The center would serve as an international hub for research and training in boundary protection strategies. During the center's inaugural symposium, my mother surprised everyone with her candid insights. "We used to view successful family members as resources to be accessed," she acknowledged to the assembled executives and academics. "Now we understand that respecting their professional boundaries actually strengthens both their success and our family bonds." This evolution in thinking had spread through our entire social network. The country club that had once been a hotbed of criticism for my stand now hosted regular workshops on supporting professional achievement while maintaining healthy boundaries. Several members had become vocal advocates for professional autonomy. The impact extended to unexpected areas of society. Religious leaders began incorporating boundary-setting principles into their family counseling programs. Educational institutions added modules on professional autonomy to their career guidance curriculum. The conversation about success and boundaries had permeated various cultural institutions. During this period of global expansion, I received a unique request from the International Monetary Fund. They wanted to incorporate our boundary protection protocols into their guidelines for developing economies. The goal was to help emerging markets create cultures that support professional success while respecting family traditions. The IMF initiative led to an innovative collaboration with cultural anthropologists studying how different societies balance individual achievement with family obligations. Our experience provided a framework for understanding how traditional family expectations could evolve to support rather than constrain professional success. This cultural dimension became evident during an international conference where business leaders from various countries shared their experiences implementing our protocols. A Japanese executive described how our framework had helped her navigate traditional family obligations while maintaining her professional autonomy. An Indian businessman shared how the principles had transformed his family's approach to their business empire. The universality of our experience sparked interest from unexpected quarters. The Vatican's Economic Council requested our input on developing guidelines for maintaining professional integrity within strong family cultures. The Dalai Lama's office expressed interest in how our principles aligned with Buddhist teachings on balance and boundaries. During this period of global recognition, I noticed a profound shift in how my own family approached success. Jennifer's consulting firm had expanded internationally with professional boundary setting as a core offering. Michael had restructured his business practices to incorporate our protocols. Even my father had become a respected speaker on evolving family dynamics in professional contexts. 2.5 years after the beach house conflict, the impact of our boundary protection movement reached a profound new milestone. The Smithsonian Institution announced plans for an exhibition titled "Breaking Barriers: Women, Wealth, and Family Dynamics in the 21st Century." My beach house story would be featured as a pivotal moment in the evolution of professional women's autonomy. During the exhibition's opening gala, an unexpected encounter illustrated how deeply our experience had influenced society. A group of young women entrepreneurs approached me, sharing how our boundary protection framework had given them the courage to start their businesses without surrendering to family pressures. "Your stand showed us that success doesn't require compromise of principles," one explained. The evening brought another surprise when my mother took the podium. She had been invited to speak about her transformation from opposition to advocacy. 2 years ago, I was trying to claim my daughter's beach house as family property, she admitted to the assembled crowd. Today, I'm helping other parents understand that respecting professional boundaries strengthens rather than weakens family bonds. This evolution in perspective had spread far beyond our immediate circle. The country club set that had once criticized my stand was now hosting an annual conference on success and boundaries in modern families. Several members who had initially supported my parents' position had become powerful advocates for professional autonomy. During this period, Harvard Business School completed a comprehensive study of the executive autonomy program's impact. The results were striking. Companies that implemented our boundary protection protocols showed significantly higher retention rates among female executives and improved overall performance metrics. The study's publication coincided with a groundbreaking initiative from the World Bank. They had incorporated our framework into their global women's empowerment programs, recognizing that professional boundary protection was crucial for sustainable economic development in emerging markets. This international recognition led to an innovative partnership with the United Nations Development Program. We began adapting our protocols for different cultural contexts, helping women worldwide maintain professional autonomy while respecting local traditions. During a global summit on women's leadership, Emma presented research that captured the generational impact of our movement. Her studies showed how young professionals who implemented boundary protection strategies early in their careers achieved greater success while maintaining healthier family relationships. The summit also highlighted an unexpected dimension of our influence. Religious and cultural leaders from various traditions shared how our framework had helped them modernize their approach to family dynamics without compromising core values. A prominent Islamic scholar described how our principles aligned with traditional teachings about respect and fairness. This cultural evolution became evident in surprising ways. Popular media began featuring storylines about successful women maintaining professional boundaries. Educational institutions incorporated our protocols into their career counseling programs. The conversation about success and family dynamics had permeated every level of society. As these developments unfolded, I received news that the beach house itself had been designated a historic landmark in the movement for professional women's rights. The property that had once symbolized family conflict now represented the power of standing firm in one's principles. The landmark designation ceremony brought together people from every phase of our journey. Judge Chen, who had supported my initial stand, spoke about the legal precedents our case had established. Sarah Mitchell shared insights about the psychological impact of maintaining professional boundaries. My father, surprisingly, offered a candid reflection on how our experience had transformed his understanding of success and family support. 3 years after the initial beach house conflict, I found myself in an unexpected position, delivering the commencement address at Harvard Business School, where Emma was graduating with highest honors. Her thesis on professional autonomy and family dynamics had won international recognition, spawning a new field of study in business ethics. The morning of the ceremony brought news that highlighted how far we'd come. The World Economic Forum had announced the creation of the SCAO, Professional Autonomy Index, a global metric for measuring how well different societies support successful individuals in maintaining professional boundaries. The index would influence international development policies and corporate practices worldwide. During my address, I shared an insight that had emerged from our journey. True success isn't just about achieving goals or accumulating wealth. It's about maintaining the integrity of those achievements while fostering healthy relationships. Professional boundaries aren't walls that divide us. They're frameworks that allow us to connect authentically. The speech resonated particularly with international students, who approached me afterward to share their experiences. A young woman from Saudi Arabia described how our boundary protection principles had helped her navigate traditional family expectations while building her technology company. A Brazilian executive explained how our framework had transformed his family's approach to their multi-generation business. This global impact had led to an innovative collaboration with UNESCO. They were developing educational programs that would teach boundary-setting principles to young people worldwide, recognizing that early understanding of professional autonomy was crucial for sustainable success. The evolution in my own family became evident during the graduation celebration. My mother, once the architect of the beach house takeover attempt, now led workshops helping parents understand and support their children's professional boundaries. Our greatest gift to our successful children, she often said, is respecting their right to protect their achievements. Jennifer's transformation was equally remarkable. Her consulting firm had expanded to specialize in helping family businesses implement professional boundary protocols. What started as a family conflict, she reflected during the celebration, has become a blueprint for balancing success with family relationships. During this period, Goldman Sachs announced the results of a 5-year study on the executive autonomy program's impact. Companies that had implemented our protocols showed not just improved performance metrics, but significantly better succession planning and family business transitions. The data confirmed that professional boundaries strengthened rather than weakened family enterprises. The study's publication coincided with an unexpected development. Several major religious organizations had formed a coalition to promote professional autonomy within their communities. They recognized that supporting individual success while maintaining family bonds required clear boundaries and mutual respect. This cultural shift became evident in surprising ways. Popular media began featuring stories about successful individuals maintaining professional boundaries. Educational institutions incorporated boundary-setting principles into their curricula. The conversation about success and family dynamics had permeated every aspect of society. As these developments unfolded, I received news that fundamentally validated our journey. The United Nations had designated professional autonomy as a fundamental right, incorporating our boundary protection framework into their human rights guidelines. The personal stand I had taken over a beach house had evolved into an internationally recognized principle of human dignity. 3.5 years after the beach house incident, a remarkable scene unfolded at the United Nations Women's Leadership Summit. Emma, now a recognized expert in professional boundary dynamics, was presenting her groundbreaking research alongside me. Her work had identified how early implementation of boundary protection principles could reshape entire family legacies. During the summit, a surprising announcement captured the scope of our impact. The International Olympic Committee had adopted our boundary protection framework for their athlete development programs, recognizing that many young athletes faced similar pressures from families seeking to control their success. The morning of our joint presentation, I received news that illustrated how deeply our principles had penetrated society. Major universities worldwide were now requiring courses in professional boundary maintenance as part of their business and law degrees. The curriculum integrated real-world examples, including our beach house story, to demonstrate how personal stands could catalyze systemic change. This educational revolution coincided with a profound shift in corporate culture. Fortune 500 companies had begun including boundary protection metrics in their ESG, environmental, social, and governance reporting. Companies that demonstrated strong support for professional autonomy were seeing higher investor confidence and improved talent retention. During this period, my mother's transformation reached a new level. She had authored a book titled From Control to Support: A Mother's Journey in Professional Respect. The publication became a bestseller, particularly resonating with parents struggling to adapt to their children's success. Speaking at a book launch event, my mother shared an insight that captured our journey's essence. We used to think loving our successful children meant having unlimited access to their achievements. Now we understand that true love means respecting their right to protect what they've built. This evolution in family thinking had spread through multiple generations. Jennifer's youngest daughter, inspired by Emma's work, had started a youth movement called Future Leaders for Autonomy. The organization helped young people establish healthy professional boundaries early in their careers. The impact extended to unexpected areas. Professional sports teams began implementing our protocols to protect athletes from family financial pressures. Entertainment industry executives adopted our framework to help talented individuals maintain creative control while managing family expectations. The principles we'd developed proved universally applicable. During this period of expansion, I received notification of a groundbreaking initiative. The World Bank had created a special fund to support professional autonomy programs in developing nations. The fund would help emerging economies build cultures that respected individual success while maintaining family bonds. This global recognition led to an innovative partnership with cultural preservation organizations. We worked together to develop ways of protecting professional autonomy while honoring traditional family values. The result was a flexible framework that could adapt to different cultural contexts while maintaining core principles. As these developments unfolded, my beach house took on new significance. What had once been a symbol of family conflict had become a gathering place for leaders in the professional autonomy movement. Regular workshops and retreats were held there, helping others learn from our experience. The property itself had evolved into a living testament to our journey. Each room now featured plaques sharing different aspects of our story, from the initial conflict to the global movement it inspired. Visitors from around the world came to learn how standing firm in one's principles could spark lasting change. During one such gathering, Emma shared a perspective that captured the generational impact of our stand. The beach house isn't just property anymore. It's a symbol of how protecting what you've earned can actually strengthen family bonds. Every time I walk through these doors, I'm reminded that true success includes the courage to maintain its integrity. 4 years after the beach house incident that transformed my family and sparked a global movement, I stood on the same deck where it all began. This time, I wasn't alone defending my boundaries. I was surrounded by 3 generations of family members celebrating Emma's appointment as the youngest professor at Harvard Business School's newly established Center for Professional Autonomy and Family Dynamics. The celebration marked more than just Emma's achievement. It represented the complete transformation of our family's understanding of success and respect. My mother, once the architect of the attempted beach house takeover, now served as a global ambassador for professional boundary protection. That evening, she shared an insight that captured our journey's essence. 4 years ago, I thought family meant having unlimited access to each other's success, she reflected, addressing the gathered guests. I tried to claim my daughter's beach house as family property, never understanding that true family support means respecting each other's boundaries. Today, watching my granddaughter lead the next generation in understanding professional autonomy, I realize that our greatest failure nearly became our most powerful legacy. During the celebration, we received news that emphasized the global impact of our stand. The United Nations had officially designated our beach house as a historic site in the movement for professional women's rights. The property that once symbolized family conflict would now serve as an international center for teaching boundary protection principles. This recognition coincided with an unexpected announcement from Goldman Sachs. The firm was establishing a global foundation dedicated to promoting professional autonomy, with a particular focus on helping successful individuals maintain healthy family relationships while protecting their achievements. The foundation would operate from a new building named after our beach house. The evening brought another surprise when Jennifer's youngest daughter, Maya, revealed her college application essay. She had written about watching our family transform from a cautionary tale of entitlement to a model of healthy professional boundaries. Aunt Olivia's stand didn't just protect a beach house, she wrote. It protected the principle that success doesn't require surrender of self-respect. As the celebration continued, I noticed something remarkable about the interaction between family members. Gone were the subtle manipulations and entitled expectations that had once characterized our gatherings. Instead, there was genuine respect for boundaries, professional achievements, and personal autonomy. My father, who had initially supported the vacation takeover attempt, now led workshops helping other parents understand the importance of respecting their children's professional boundaries. Our greatest gift to our successful children, he often said, is acknowledging their right to protect what they've built. The impact extended far beyond our family. The beach house had become a symbol of professional integrity and boundary protection, inspiring similar movements worldwide. Regular seminars were held here, helping others learn from our experience and implement boundary protection principles in their own lives. As the sun set over the ocean, Emma gathered everyone for an announcement. The Harvard Center she now led would be launching a global initiative to help families navigate the intersection of success and boundaries. The program would bear the Name the Beach House principles, ensuring that our story would continue inspiring others. Looking out over the waves, I reflected on how far we'd come. What began as a personal stand for property rights had evolved into a movement that transformed how society views success, family, and professional autonomy. The beach house, once a source of conflict, had become a beacon of hope for others facing similar challenges. The evening ended with a powerful moment of recognition. My mother presented me with a key to the beach house, not as a claim of ownership, but as a symbol of how protecting our boundaries had ultimately strengthened our family bonds. You taught us that true family support means respecting each other's right to succeed on their own terms, she said. That lesson will echo through generations. As the celebration wound down, I found myself alone on the deck where it all began. The beach house stood as a testament to the power of standing firm in one's principles, even when facing pressure from loved ones. Its walls now held not just memories of conflict, but stories of transformation, growth, and the birth of a movement that would continue inspiring others to protect their professional integrity while building stronger family bonds. The legacy of our stand had grown far beyond what I could have imagined that day when I first refused to surrender my property to family pressure. It had become a blueprint for balancing success with family relationships, proving that maintaining boundaries doesn't weaken family bonds. It strengthens them by fostering genuine respect and understanding. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.